Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary with the Getsome podcast. And my guest this week is...
This motherfucker Gary.
Hey, this podcast is brought to you by Mint Mobile. Hey, we got this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month. Go to mintmobile.com/getsome. That's GETSOME. That's mintmobile.com/getsome. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/getsome. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Getsome podcast. We'll start off with my schedule. This Friday, I'm at the soundboard at Motor City Casino, 8 p.m., Detroit, Michigan. And then that's this Friday, November 15th. Then November 16th, I'm at the Horseshoe Casino in Hammond, Indiana. November 24th, I'm in Morgantown, West Virginia for the first time ever at the Marriott Waterfront Place. November 29th through December 1st, I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana at the Helium Comedy Club. And then December 2nd, I'm in Tacoma, Washington at Nate Jackson's Super Funny Comedy Club. December 6th through the 8th, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky at the Louisville Comedy Club. December 13th through the 15th, I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the Pittsburgh Improv. December 20th through the 22nd, I'm in Denver, Colorado at the Denver Improv. And then I got a nice little run. And then December 31st, I'm at the Texas Trust Theater, Grand Prairie, Texas. We always bring in New Year's there. And then me and Lavelle Crawford, we will be in Kansas City, Jacksonville, New Orleans, 26th, 27th, 28th of December. And then December 30th, I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana, the Sam's Towns Casino. So that's my schedule. I had a interesting week. Hold on, let me get my notes. Yeah, so first of all, I hope everybody's doing okay. It's a week later after the election. So far, the country's still intact. Been no craziness. I guess I'm different. I'll be very honest. I didn't vote this year just because I felt like I didn't do enough to educate myself on who I should be voting for. And maybe it's because I saw it was getting ugly, like it always does every election. And when you don't vote, then you got people saying, well, you can't complain. And so I'm not going to complain. I made that decision not to vote just because I wasn't versed enough in either candidate to feel comfortable voting for either one of them. And so, but I think it's, what I don't like about the election, no matter who wins, is I'm okay if your side wins and you want to celebrate the win, whether it was the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. What I don't like is the gloating afterwards. I saw, even beforehand, I saw the Harris supporters like going in on Trump, like this is it, he's done. I saw Trump supporters going in on Harris, that's it, she's done. And I'm like, I look at it like when I go to a football game and I'm a visitor, I'm rooting for my team. I'm not wishing bad things on your team, but I'm rooting for my team. So everybody knows I love the Bengals. So if I go to Pittsburgh, or I go to Baltimore, I go to Cleveland, I'm going to root for the Bengals. but I'm not rooting for bad stuff to happen to your team. And I'm not gloating if somebody gets hurt. Like I was in Cleveland, a month ago and Deshaun Jackson went down with the Achilles. I wasn't going, yeah. I was just like, damn, that sucks. But I was still rooting for the Bengals. That's how I am with the election. It divides us more than anything. Politics and religion, boy, will divide you more than anything. And so I just said I made the conscious decision for the first time in probably 20 years. I'm not going to vote. And I'm just going to see how I feel afterwards. And I feel fine. It's funny because it's like we act like whatever party loses, I mean, people act like the earth's going to come to an end and this country is going to go in the shitter, depending on who wins the election. And that's never the case. This country's been through a lot. We're very resilient. We always figure out a way to make it work. One thing I've learned about Americans is we're arrogant. We're always like, this is the greatest country on earth. And I'm going, man, I've now that I've traveled and I've seen other countries, yeah, I can see myself living. I can see myself living in Italy pretty easy. I can see myself living in Canada pretty easy. So, yeah, I just think, we're fine. Everything's okay. And I know even by me making this statement in my podcast, people are going to be like, what? How can you say we're okay? This is going to happen. I had a conversation with my opener, and even he said, like, his neighborhood is very, very Trump supportive. He's in Pittsburgh. And he goes, he's cool with all his neighbors. He said, but he voted for Harris. He goes, and then one of his neighbors tried to gloat, and then he snapped on him, and it just got, we lose track of what's really important is whatever neighborhood you live in, that's your neighborhood, that's your tribe, that's the people you should be worrying about, caring about. That's who you got to rely on if things happen. The media they really do a great job of pulling us apart as a nation during the election. And then, like I was watching Charlemagne. I just like Charlemagne, man. Whatever he says, I enjoy listening to him. I enjoy listening to D.L. Hughley. Whether I agree or don't agree with everything they say, I still know that they're educated in their thoughts and they put a lot of time in. And with I think the problem with whoever gets elected president is it's either got to be they do everything wrong and nothing right, and they can't do anything right. If you're against them, it's like everything they do is wrong, and if you're with them, everything they do is right. We can't have like a medium, like, yeah, I agree with that, but not with this. But every time there's an election, when I watch it, I'm always like, yeah, that's cool, they did that, but I didn't like that. And nobody ever brings that up. It's always like, it's like Fox and CNN. CNN, everything the Republican Party does is wrong, and then Fox, everything the Democratic Party does is wrong. It can't be like a middle ground on this. So there was things that Vice President Harris, some of the things she was saying, I was like, okay, that's cool. And other things I was like, eh. Same with Trump. Some things I was like, that's cool. But some things I was like, eh. But, yeah, I just said, you know what? I'm going to step back on this one and see what happens and see how I feel. And I feel all right. I'm going to vote on the next one. But this one I made a decision. I'm just like, I'm not doing that. So, yeah, I'm sure I'll catch some shit for it. But like Waka Flocka, I'm not going to endorse a candidate and then not go vote for him. That's crazy. But I just said, see what happens. And I think we're fine. We're going to be all right. Like, there's some Trump policies I agree with and some I don't. And so I'm just like, but I think every president we've had, I've tried to support as much as I can. I don't have to agree with them. I don't have to be like, oh, we're going to hang out. But if you're my president, I hope things work out and you're a good president and you do have what's in the best interest for this country. So that's kind of where I stand. Whether I didn't vote for Bush, but when he was our president, I was like, okay. When 9/11 happened, I was like, all right, he came down and went to the towers, and I think at that point we all kind of came together as a country. I didn't vote for John McCain, but I do think he would have made a decent president if he would have won. I think he would have won in most years, but Barack was a force of nature that I don't think was going to be denied. And we knew that in 2004 when he made that speech at the Democratic National Convention. Everyone went, "Who's that?" And when that happened, I was like, I hope the Republicans win so Barack can run in 2008. I remember thinking that back in 2004 when he gave that speech. I go, dude, that guy, that could be a president. And then that ended up happening. So, but we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay as a country. If you hear some disturbance in the back, I'm recording this podcast from my house, and my boys are wilding in the background right now. It's just one of them days that one of them got the flu. We woke up this morning, and there was throw up everywhere in the baby bed. I was like, Well, one of my boys got the flu yesterday. He threw up like it was out of a movie, like a Stephen King movie. We gave him a smoothie, just kept coming out. Took him to the doctor, said he's got a stomach virus, and then they said it's going to run through the house probably. Well, my other boy got it last night. He woke up. When I say dried throw up, he did a Jimi Hendrix. It was just in his hair. It was on the. I wasn't gonna post that on Instagram. I don't want people dry heaving. But yeah, that was a crazy segue from the presidential election to that. But yeah, so if you hear something in the background, that's just my boys. They're having a hard day. They're not feeling well. I'm recording this from my home office, and that's what you hear in the background. So, other news. That's enough about politics. I'm not really a political guy, as you can see. And I don't claim to be. I'm not going to get in a political argument with people or a back and forth. It's just, Trump's our president now. I'm going to support our president. I don't have to agree with everything he does or disagree with everything he does, but that's where we're at, or he's going to be the president in January. Now, I did see something that they said that a good thing that could make Vice President Harris the first black female president would be if Joe Biden just stepped down now and just let her have these last 2 months, which I agree, because we all know Joe Biden isn't there right now. He doesn't know where he's at. We all know that. So, I mean, that'd be something kind of cool to do. Yeah, that'd be cool if he stepped down. I did see when I was watching Charlemagne, he had some political pundit on there or something, and then when it came back, Vice President Harris was going to lose. She went, "I think this proves this country isn't ready for a black woman president." And I went, that to me that was low hanging fruit. That was too easy. That was too much of a cop out. And because I do think this country is ready for a black female president. It just, Vice President Harris is, the cards are stacked against her from jump. She didn't have a full campaign to run. The Democratic Party was in turmoil. It started when Joe Biden, everybody knew he was losing his faculties, but they act like he wasn't. And then she came in, and she really didn't have a chance. And then when Trump got shot, I was like, that kind of sealed it, too. That's going to be one of the most iconic photos ever. And so I just think, honestly, she did as well as anyone could have did under those circumstances. I think as comedians, because we're in a different city every week, we're in the quote-unquote flyover states, I think deep down we all kind of knew this was coming. Because we know the pulse of the country more than like people working at CNN, people working at Fox, I almost said ESPN, people working at CBS. They're in New York and LA. They're not touring the country like we are. They don't know what's happening. Comedians, I think we all knew what was happening. And so this wasn't a shock. You hear that? Yep. He don't give a damn about my podcast. Yep. And it doesn't help. The boys, they're switching their nap schedules. They were doing 2 naps a day. Now we're down to 1. And so they get up at 7 a.m. and they don't nap till noon. So that last hour and a half, we call that the witching hour. That's when they already like, hey, we're supposed to be asleep already. So it's a lot. It's a lot. So you might hear him again during this podcast. Yeah, she did better than I thought she was going to do. She made like a hell of a comeback. I know she didn't win. I know they're saying she lost all the swing states, but you know, a lot of people didn't vote. I was one of them. I think a lot of people probably felt the same as I do. They were probably like, man, there's so much chaos going on this year. I'm just going to fall back, step back, and let the cards lie. Let everything fall where they may, and we'll see what happens. And I just know as a country, we'll be all right. Whether Harris won or Trump won, I was like, we're going to be all right. And that's how I look at it. If you don't watch the news that much, you know, life's pretty good, I hope. If your family's healthy and you can pay your bills. And I know right then, somebody's going to say, well, that's the problem with Trump getting over. I ain't going to be able to pay my bills. I'm like, it's not the president's fault. It's not the president's fault if you can't pay your bills. Let's be honest. It's your fault. We're always looking for a scapegoat in people's lives. And the president makes it easy to be somebody's scapegoat. But, well, you know, if Democrats win and I'm in a different tax bracket, I got to pay a little more in taxes. That just is what it is. Republicans win and you're in a different tax bracket, your taxes get lower a little bit. It just is what it is. You figure it out. But we put a lot on the president, like everything's his or her fault. And sometimes you got to look in the mirror and be like, maybe my life turned out the way it is because of me. Never thought of that. So, yeah, we'll be all right. But congrats to Vice President Harris for how far she came. I mean, she was up against the 8 ball. She was almost like an NBA player getting a 10-day contract that was in the G League. Somebody got hurt, got called up, and all of a sudden she's in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and she's guarding Michael Jordan. That's the equivalent of what she was up against from jump. So, yeah. We'll be all right. So, listen, another news. I was following a couple years ago. Remember PNB Rock got killed at the Roscoe's in LA? And then I remember when he got killed. If you don't know the story, PNB Rock is a music artist. He goes into Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in the middle of the day in LA. He's got like $500,000 worth of jewelry on. And which isn't, you hate to say, you should be able to go wherever you want, whenever you want, but you also got to read where you're going. So be very careful. Like every time I go overseas, I have a diamond watch. I never bring it overseas with me. If I have anything that I feel like I can't live without, I don't bring it on certain trips. So he wore all this jewelry, and then he got robbed in the middle of eating lunch. He gets robbed, gets shot and killed, and I remember everybody coming after his girlfriend. And was it his baby mama, his girlfriend? And they were like, she posted where they was at, and that let people know, and then they came and robbed them. And then there was conspiracy theories of how she set him up. Maybe it was somebody she knew that killed him. And they really took his girl through the ringer with this. And the whole time I was going, everybody does that. In that age group, when you're 20s, early 30s, a lot of people on social media, and they show their food, just no different than they show when they're out of the club. It's just what people do, man. And I thought that was wrong, how people just came at her. And we were so quick to do these conspiracy theories. Come to find out, 2 years later, after the investigation's over, they've closed it. This really bothers me how this all played out. PNB Rock walked into Roscoe's. They got their surveillance video of him dapping somebody up that works there. The guy that dapped him up slowed his order down. It took 40 minutes to get his food and slowed his order down to the point where he called his buddy. A father and son came down and robbed him and killed him. And then all because they wanted his jewelry. And so it had nothing to do with the girl, had nothing to do with her posting. It was all, and the bad part, it was somebody that worked there. Somebody that dapped him up. Man, it's hard to know who you could trust anymore. And it made it more disturbing. It was a father and son that did this. I'm going, damn, man. I'm just a waste. Because I liked a lot of PNB Rock's music. And the fact that they took him from the public, where who knows what kind of classics he would have made in the future. All because he has some jewelry that they wanted. And now look where they're at. Everybody's in jail. Ain't gonna get no jewelry in jail. Your freedom's gone. You completely messed up his children's life, his girl's life, his family's life. All because you want a quick fix. You want a quick money. You want a quick, just want some jewelry. And I'm just, and then they said PNB Rock had a firearm on him, but he never even had a chance. They said within seconds, the guy walked in, put a gun to his face, give me your jewelry, and then just shot him. And then, luckily, he didn't shoot the girl either, but they took the girl's jewelry. And the fact that it's a father's son was even more disturbing. And the fact that, just imagine you walk in, a guy pounds you up, and then your food's taking a long time, and you're just a sitting duck. And it was all done. It was all so choreographed on the spur of the moment. PNB Rock's here. He got all this jewelry on. All right, we're gonna stall his order. Get down here. It almost makes you wonder, was more than one person in on it? Was it more than one person working at Roscoe's? For a whole restaurant to stall the food, I just was like, or did you like make it and drop it as it was coming out so you got to start over? It was so disturbing. It was so just disgusting. I just, sad. Just sad over some jewelry. And father-son, oh my God. Terrible. So last week I was in, I took the weekend off and I went to a wedding in Cabo San Lucas. Now I've been to Mexico before. I've been to Cancun, been to Tijuana, been to Rosarita. Never been to Cabo San Lucas, and I thought I had been, but I probably mispronounced that wrong. But man, that place is like, that's the Beverly Hills of Mexico. That place is nice. But I stayed at this resort, the Grand Villas. Took a few pics and posted them on Instagram, but just a beautiful wedding. It was a friend of mine, lives down the street, him and his wife. And it's funny when people get married and then the people that speak at weddings and you get to know more about it and then people's background. But it was funny because the guy and girl that got married, the guy just DM'd the girl, DM'd what is now his wife. And she kept like putting them off. Then they have finally exchanged numbers. And then he had said in his speech, like, she just wasn't really responding. And then she finally responded and was like, I think she said, I'm going to yoga. And then it was like 4 days later, he finally texted her back. He goes, hey, you still at yoga class? Because she never got back to him. And then he kept trying to make plans with her. And she was basically doing like, look, Mondays I get my hair done. Tuesdays I get my nails done. Wednesday I spend time with my mom and dad. Thursdays I go to the movie. And he goes, well, maybe we can go to the movie together. And she was like, oh no, I go to the movies by myself. He's like, dang. So she really wasn't leaving him a lot of time to see him. And then finally he called her and he said, meet me at this restaurant, 8:00. I made reservations, and just hung up. And then she was like, oh. And then he said he got there at 7:45. And now that he knows how his wife is, she's always late. He said he stayed till 8:15 and he was getting up to walk out and she walked in and then, and they sat down. He said she looked better in person than she did on Instagram. We all know what that means, them filters. And then he said the restaurant closed at 10, and at 11, they finally kicked him out. And they just talked that long. And then he said, and we haven't gone a day without talking since. And then they had planned on having another wedding. They planned on having this wedding a few years ago, but COVID happened. So they got married in like their living room. And now that COVID's over and everything's stable, and then they said, okay, now they can have a real wedding, an official wedding, a big, beautiful wedding. And it was amazing. But it was a good wedding. And I like when people talk at weddings, I always say, be careful who you pick, because too many times at weddings depend on who speaks, and you can get like a guy or a girl, and they're telling like inside jokes that only you guys think's funny, and the crowd is always going or giving courtesy laughs like, but we don't understand the story. Or I've seen that quite a bit at weddings. This one didn't have that. Everyone that talked kept it real brief, kept it moving. Just shared, like, the bride had her two sisters speak, and then the groom had his friend from way back. He gave a heartfelt speech, and then his other guy was funny because they were African, and so it's funny because the English was kind of broken. And then but it was good. It was good. It was quick, but I love those courting stories of how people met that they got to this point. So it was good. It was a good wedding. It was fun, and it was funny because I was talking to a guy like the night before the wedding. They had like an all white party, and I was talking to this guy, and I said, "Who do you know here?" And he was like, "Oh, just he was like, yeah, I'm seeing this girl, and she knew the bride, so she goes, hey, my girl's getting married in Cabo, want to go?" And he's like, I heard Cabo, and I'm going. I go, oh, so you don't really know anybody here? He's like, no. I go, oh, you're the side dude. I heard side. So when I remember a buddy of mine got married a few years ago, and his bride was so animate. They go, I don't want your friends bringing a bunch of their freaking side chicks to my wedding. Not that dudes that were married bringing girls. He's talking about just dudes inviting randoms to the wedding, which I kind of get as if I was a woman. You don't want a bunch of random females that you don't know that isn't a wife or a fiance to somebody just showing up. And so I told him, I said, oh, you the side dude at this wedding. And then, but he told me something that was interesting. And he said, look, I told him, I said, I got my older kids, and I got these twin boys now that are real young. And he was like, he said, look, man, set up an email now, and email your boys every week. And then when they're 18, give them the email address, and they can read emails over their whole lives. And just like log in once a week and tell them how the week went, or every couple of days, and just, so when they're older, they can go back and see where you was at mentally as their dad, and they can put, you're typing out like what they were doing that day at that age. And I was like, man, what a great idea. And I set up the email, and I'm doing that this week. But that was the coolest part about the wedding to me. Was I would have never thought of doing something like that. And I'm sure some people have already thought of that, but me, I would never thought of that. So I think that was something cool that I would have never thought of. Like, and anybody else that's out there that's got kids, I don't care if your kids are already 8, 9 years old. Yeah, set up an email, and then email them at least once a week, and just let them know how the week's going, and what you was going through that week. And I think, man, can you imagine if you would have had that as a kid and you turn 18, your mom or dad would have gave that to you? That's a better gift than anything you can give them, honestly, because you can always go back and read them, and just reminisce, and you can say, "Oh, I was like that at 5 years old. I was doing that at 6 years old." Just cool something I thought the dude to share with me. So, okay, so this is going to air Thursday, and on Friday is the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. And I don't know where you guys stand on this, but I think I think this is going to be ugly. I think Jake Paul's going to win. I think it could be a massacre if it gets past the first round. There's only 2-minute rounds, which is good. But if Mike don't catch him in the first round, I think that's it. Because I don't care how good a shape you are. Was Mike 56 or 58? I don't know. Let me see. How old is Mike Tyson?
Hey, this podcast is brought to you by Mint Mobile. Hey, listen, I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to get a decent deal, just to save a few bucks. It's got to be easy for me. I don't want no hoops. I don't want no BS. So when Mint Mobile says it's easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, I said, well, you got to show me. Turns out it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month. So listen, to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/getsome. That's mintmobile.com/getsome. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/getsome. $15 a month, that's a couple lattes, that's nothing. So listen, $45 upfront payment, that's required. That's the equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on a first 3-month plan only. Speed slower, above 40 gigabytes on an unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions, they apply. But listen, just see Mint Mobile for details. Thanks again for sponsoring this podcast.
He's 58. 58 is 58. So they say the last thing to go is your power, but you got to get to him before you got to hit something to get to have somebody feel the power. And I just don't think Mike's going to get to him. Jake's in his mid-20s. He can fight. People always bag on him like he's not fighting real fighters. No, he's fighting real fighters. He's not fighting like the top echelon boxers, but he's fighting real fighters. And he got power and he can punch. And like, I think people think this is still Mike from 89, 88. If you remember, God, it was almost 20 years ago. Mike didn't look good his last couple fights. He had already kind of just went, cash it in. Then when he fought Roy Jones a couple years ago, it was, Roy had once he got knocked out, he was never the same. And then that kind of they were just kind of like, it's kind of boring, honestly. And this fight could be the same way. I'm glad it's 2-minute rounds. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, especially Mike. The last thing I want to see is Mike face down on the canvas, knocked out. Nobody wants to see that. And I think Jake Paul's going to win. I think it's going to be, I'm not going to say easy. I just think it's not the Tyson in his 20s. If this was prime Mike Tyson, Jake wouldn't last a minute and a half with that Tyson. Come on now. Prime Mike? Yeah, this is even a discussion. This fight would have never been made, first of all. But 58, I know people want to think this is Tyson from years ago, but hell, I remember I got in a big argument with a dude back in when he fought Lennox Lewis. This is when AOL had the messenger chats and stuff, and I was going back and forth with this dude about Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson, and I was like, bro, Lennox Lewis is at the top of his game. The only time he ever overlooked somebody, I think, was Hasim Rockban. And then I said, I'll never do it again. And then, so I was just like, Lewis is going to just annihilate Tyson. And he ended up doing exactly what I thought would happen. So I think this could be similar to that Lennox Lewis-Mike Tyson fight. I think everybody's going to get the butterflies when Mike's come walking in. The first punch Mike throws, we're going to see a glimpse of that classic head movement, and bow, bow. But if he don't get him in the first round, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I don't care how much you run. I don't care how much CrossFit, how much breathing exercises you do. 58 is 58. You get tired quick. Let me tell you something. When I was at the wedding this weekend, the parties went to about 2 a.m. every night. At midnight, I was checking out. Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, I was checking out at midnight. Like I couldn't go anymore. And so I just think the same thing's going to happen. So I'm going to watch, probably. It's on Netflix, so it's going to be easy to watch. I just think after that first round, and hopefully Mike gets a couple flurries in, hits him a couple times, and then what I hope it goes a distance. I hope nobody gets hurt, and I hope it's boring, honestly, because then a boring fight means nobody's taking a lot of punishment, and I'm gonna watch like everybody else, and I could be wrong. I don't think I am, but yeah, I think Jake Paul is gonna win this, and I think he's gonna win it easy, honestly. So I hope nobody sends this to Mike because I don't want him coming after me. Just my opinion. Like I said, I don't want to see it happen, but it's just my opinion. So that's going to be Friday on Netflix. Then Saturday, we got the big UFC fight. Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic. I'll say I think Jon Jones is going to win, but I'm kind of rooting for Stipe just because he's an Ohio dude. And he just seems like a decent guy. Not that John's not a decent enough guy, but Stipe just seems like he's a family guy. He really reps Ohio. I love people to rep Ohio, by the way. Jake Paul, Ohio. Listen, Cleveland's running shit this weekend. I ain't gonna lie. Between Jake Paul and Stipe, Friday and Saturday night, Cleveland, Ohio. You guys, I know you don't you're still reeling off the World Series and the Browns ain't doing shit. The Cavs are doing great, but this could really be a Cleveland weekend if Jake and Stipe wins. So I'm predicting Jon Jones to win, but I'm rooting for Stipe. So I'll put it like that. And then Sunday, I'm in Hammond, Indiana on Saturday. So I'm going to fly first thing smoking Sunday morning from Chicago to LA. And I'm going to my beloved Bengals versus Chargers game. And more than any other week, this is a must win. Season's on the line. Through everything they've been through, all this BS, there's still only one game out of the 7th playoff spot. And I'm going, come on. I was watching that last week's game against Baltimore in Mexico in Spanish. That's how I was watching the game. And you can't pick up nothing but names. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. That's all you get is every now and then you'll get a number. Trace. I'll be like, oh, kick the field goal. But pretty much, you're just listening for names. But, God, they were really, really wasting an amazing season by Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And Jamar Chase is going to get paid so much money. Oh, my God. I mean, somebody's asked me about him. And I said, well, the good thing about Jamar leading the NFL in touchdowns, receptions, and yards, he's not checking out of the season. He wants that triple crown. Because all wide receivers got egos. That doesn't mean they don't want the team to win, but they want them stats. Trust and believe. Because that's how you get money. I say what you want about the NFL. It's a team game, but you also need those stats. Ain't nobody paying top dollar for a wide receiver to run off the free safety, to have 50 catches a year. I don't care who your quarterback is. It's all about them stats. And Jamar is not about to fall off. He wants to go back and be like, I've solidified myself as the best wide receiver in the NFL. Not one of them, the best. Time to pay. So, I don't know. But I'll be there. I'll be there in LA. I got some field passes for the game. Yeah, you see it. Gonna be sitting in a suite. Yeah, you see it. Shouts out to Dwayne Wade, Gabrielle Union. Appreciate you letting me sit in your suite. Yeah, you see it. I'm coming, baby. I'm coming. I'm excited. Man, we need this quick. We need this win, though. I ain't gonna lie. This one. More than any other game. Oh, my God. We can't go in the bye week 4-7. Burrow's going to do his thing, but Jesus Christ, guys. This is... Honestly, I didn't even care about the election. I was more worried about the Bengals and Ravens. I was worried about Bengals versus Raiders. Now I'm worried about the Bengals versus Chargers. I don't really care who the president is. If the Bengals are winning, I'm happy. If they're not, I'm not. So, come on, guys. Make me happy this year. I've been through a lot, all right? Come on. So sick of hearing about our front office and how cheap they are and they won't pay anybody. I don't care about all that shit. I just want to win. I want to win a game. So we ain't beat a winning team yet. So hopefully this is the week we beat a winning team. So yeah. So anyways, look, we're fine. No matter who's our president, we're going to be fine. If your life isn't where you want it to be, don't blame the president. Sometimes you got to look in the mirror and blame yourself. All right? I think that's too easy. That's low-hanging fruit. Just like the girl that was on with Charlemagne that said, I think this country said, we're not ready for a black female president. I was like, stop. That was the easiest. I could have said that. I want some insight. You're going to give me some insight. I was like, no, I don't like that. So yeah, if you're happy and you're doing well in life, that's not the president's fault either. That's on you. Congratulations. If your life's good. If your life isn't where you want to be, don't blame the president. Tie up your bootstraps and get to work. If you want something out in life, go get it. You know? Yeah. So anyways, this weekend, Detroit, Michigan. I'll see you Friday. Hammond, Indiana, which is 20 minutes outside Southside Chicago, 30 minutes from downtown. I'll be at the Horseshoe. The Mailman will be with me. Tony Roberson will be with me, and Damon Williams will be with me. So, I hope the guys see you out there. And then I will, you know what? I didn't give you the exact dates for me and Lavelle. I got to call my web guy because it wasn't on my website. I don't know why they didn't do that. Ticketmaster. Let me see. Gary Owen and Lavelle Crawford. We are. Where you at? There we go. So we are. Oh, there the boys are. Okay. We are. Okay, why is it on there? That's not cool. Oh, I forgot. February 6th, I'm in Cincinnati. I'm coming home February 6th. Completely forgot that. But why isn't me and Lavelle's date on here? Oh, there we go. Okay, December 26th, me and Lavelle's in Kansas City at the Midland Theater. December 27th, me and Lavelle's in New Orleans at the Orpheum Theater. And December 28th, we're in Jacksonville. I don't know what theater that is. And so December 28th. Oh, we're in San Antonio, Texas, too. All right. I should have had this prepared. I'm sorry, guys. Next week, I'll have all my dates up to par. So, all right, y'all. Well, anyways, the country's going to be all right. No matter who the president is, we're good. Everybody root for the Bengals. And, if you got kids, set up an email. Shoot them an email this week. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all next week. This is Gary Owen with the Getsome podcast. Oh, and don't forget, me and Nate Jackson have a podcast that comes out every Wednesday, the Gary and Nate podcast. So make sure you watch and listen to that too. It's pretty good because I'm on it.